Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Man U Save. In this episode, we have the start of the Champions League group stages with our home game against Real Madrid. We then have our next Premier League fixture at home again to Huddersfield. And finally, we're going to round out the episode with the third round Carabao Cup game against Chelsea. Now then, since we last met, we've played two games. The first one was a good 4-0 victory over Wolves. Goal scorers were Lossl, Mata, Sanchez, and a brilliant own goal by Patricio. And the second game was a 3-2 loss away to Bournemouth. This one was a little bit disappointing. We had a lot of chances, as you can see here, and Paul Pogba missed a penalty. Pogba gets a second chance as we are ordered another penalty just before half-time, which he converts, and nothing much happens until the 77th minute when Brooks plays in Solanke for a decent header, and it's 1-1. A few minutes later, courtesy of some excellent Manolas defending, as you see there, Wilson puts them 2-1 up, and our team gets briefly back into it when Fred plays Darmian in acres of space, and he chips it in for a free header for Sanchez. And at this point, I was just happy with the draw, but Sermon out to Stanislas, back to Jefferson Lerma, and Sermon puts a fairly weak effort past De Gea from 20 odd yards, and that is unfortunately that for that one. I thought we could have done a bit better, and the stats were mostly in our favour, apart from the goals. Now then, on with today's episode. Before we get into the game, I'll run you through a tactical change that we've made. We've created a new system, which is somewhat modelled off the Man City team from this year, who are using two inverted wing-backs that hopefully should sort of tuck in next to Casemiro, sort of giving us a base of the two central defenders and then the three of Shaw, Darmian and Casemiro. We've then gone for Pogba and Pereira as Mazzalas, and Lingard and Sanchez initially as inside forwards. I've told them to stay pretty wide, so what we should get is they'll stay out on the flanks and we'll have Pogba and Pereira pushing into the channels between them, giving us a fairly decent shape which we hopefully be able to craft out some slightly better chances. We're going for quite slow play, very possession based, to see if we can break teams down a little bit more. So this is the tactic we're going to use for the Real Madrid game. I haven't used it yet, but we'll see how it goes. Now the lineup we're going to use is De Gea obviously in goal. We then have a back four of Shaw, Lindelof, Manolas and Darmian. A midfield three of Casemiro with Pogba and Pereira just ahead of him. And finally a front three of Sanchez, Lingard and Rashford. So let's get into it. It'll be interesting to see how they've lined up, given that we poached their defensive midfielder off them. And they've gone for Kroos at centre defensive mid, with Isco and Modric ahead of him. Isco's mostly an attacking midfielder, so that's a little bit interesting. But they do have a very good team still. What shall we tell the boys? All pretty rubbish options. They can go out and enjoy themselves. That's what we're looking for from a Champions League game, just a bit of fun. So we kick off then with Rashford back to Casemiro, plays it back to Manolas, and highlight ends. An excellent opening for us. Got another highlight 4 minutes in, with Rashford churn up out on the right wing. Casemiro to Lingard, back to Casemiro. A lot of the highlights unfortunately might be a little bit slow due to the style we're using, and Andreas long shot slightly over the bar. But yeah, we'll try to keep them a little bit short if they drag on. We'll skip forward if nothing much happens. We have a chance to counter here, possibly. Countering's not really part of our game, because we slow it down a lot. But there might be the occasional opportunity where our inside forwards might be able to have a bit of a run forwards. Lingard cuts it back to Pogba. Just wide. Opening 10 minutes is fairly encouraging. We're having a lot of the ball and we don't seem to be allowing them many chances, which is always good. Modric only as far as Lindelof. See if we can move it forward. The one potential problem with this style is we sometimes end up with a little bit of a gap in the midfield. Oh, unlucky. A good long-range effort from Pogba's just wide. Navas kicks it long. Lindelof gets his head on it. Pogba with a bit of space to run into. Lays it off to Sanchez. Decent cross and just over from Lingard. Again, we're making a lot of chances, but we're not really taking advantage of them at the moment. And we have another chance to see if we can do anything. Oh, I'm not sure what Navas has done there, but they get lucky. Real Madrid only having one shot in the opening 35 minutes, which is very good indeed. Another highlight in the 40th minute. We'll have a little bit of a shout at them, see if we can get a goal before half time. Lingard out on the right wing. Gets across into Pogba's free, hits the post. Not getting any luck today, unfortunately. And it looks like that'll be that for the first half. Yes. So we've done pretty well. We've just done everything but the goal so far. So we'll see if we can get a little bit more out of them in the second half. It looks like they're pushing their fullbacks on quite a lot. So you might see if we can exploit that a little bit. Maybe change them to wingers. Leave them very high up the pitch. We'll see how we get on for the first part of the second half. There's a highlight here. Navas goal kick. It's again straight to Lindelof. He goes route one, which isn't exactly in the game plan, but hey. And really all it's managed to do is give the ball away, which maybe shows why it's not in the game plan. Bit of heading keepy-uppies in the midfield. And it's Real Madrid that come forward for their first real chance of the game, it looks like. Isco, and he scores. That feels a little bit against the run of play, if I'm honest. We've had a lot of chances. We haven't really had any good chances, though, unfortunately. Apart from maybe the Pogba one where he hits the post. Now, we just see if we can get them fired up a little bit. Might look to make a change in a few minutes if we don't get a goal here. Manolas out wide to Lingard, who's looking a little bit tired, so you might see if we can replace him with somebody, possibly Mata. Sanchez, the back post, saved by Navas on the line. I think we will look to make that change now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to give Gomez a game, and I'm going to put Ashley Young on for Luke Shaw. He's having a pretty poor game as well. Now, time's starting to tick away. We'll have another shout at them. We've got a goal kick to Lindelof. Moves right forward. He's going to go all the way by himself. Gomez with it now. Pinball to Navas. And that's somehow a highlight, apparently. It's not looking good for us. We're into the last 10 minutes. Free kick. Another header just over the bar. And this does feel somewhat frustrating. So we've had all of the best play of the game. Lots of possession, lots of chances. Just haven't converted. Have a look at where we're taking some of the shots from. There's been quite a lot of them. Fair few from outside the box, but a lot from inside, so we don't really have an excuse as to how we haven't at least got a goal from this game. Really feel like we could have got something more, but it's not worked out for us this time, as we come away empty-handed. It's those kind of stats you'd like to think we could have scored one. But, hey, maybe we'll sell Rashford. He wants to leave anyway. He got angry with me when I wouldn't give him a contract. But we'll leave that until January. So, not a great start to our Champions League group stages, but we'll move on to Huddersfield, so I will skip forward and be back for that game. Okay, welcome back for the Huddersfield game. Now, going into this one, we're going to stick with the same lineup, to be honest, because they played pretty well against Real Madrid. I think we were quite unlucky in the end. The only thing that I have done, Diogo Dalot is now back from injury, so we've just brought him onto the bench instead of Valencia. So we might look to give him some game time so we can get him into the right back role, because he's a little bit better than Darmian in the role, and he has, I believe, a fair amount of potential. Yeah, declined a lot due to the long-term injury, but we'll see if we can improve him as we go on. So we'll get into the game now then. Huddersfield playing an exceptionally defensive lineup with a 3-5-2 with a defensive midfielder. But hopefully, our style should be fairly good at breaking teams down. But we shall see. Let's tell them we're favourites. See if we can get a good reaction. Not done too much. So let's kick off. Rashford back to Casemiro, out to Sanchez. And he'll probably just punt it off the pitch. He's found Lingard. Will he punt it off the pitch? No. Crossed, cleared by Huddersfield. Up to Meunier. And now it ends. So, more good possession at the start of this game. A couple of shots. We've got a chance with Pogba on the edge of the box. Into Sanchez. Hits the post. We have hit the post a lot so far today. Maybe one of these days we'll score. We shall see. Another game where we're having lots of possession and shots in the first half. Shaw now on the edge of the box. Drives in, hits it, side netting. Another unfortunate attempt. Huddersfield don't appear to be getting a look in so far in this game. So all we really need to do is get one up and we should be reasonably clear for the victory, you'd like to hope. But the first half is progressing on and we're not getting any more. Got another highlight with a throw in out on the right wing. Pereira plays it to Shaw on the edge of the box. Has a long range effort, hits the post and in off Lossl. Very similar to the own goal by Patricio in the Wolves game. And finally we've scored. It took a deflection off the post onto the back of the keeper to do it. But I will take any of them at this point. Looks like that's probably going to be it for the first half. Yep, it's just going to end in a couple of seconds. So we go into the break 1-0 up, courtesy of excellent sabotage from Lossl. We're still going to tell them we're unhappy because it gets a quite good reaction, and hopefully we'll avoid complacency as Huddersfield get the second half underway. Nothing much happens in the opening highlight as usual. And nothing really appears to be happening in the second half, although we get a free kick saved by Lossl. Rashford gets the rebound. Was it offside? They don't appear to be checking it, so it looks like we got away with that one. We've taken a solid 2-0 lead 10 minutes into the second half, thanks to Rashford. Based upon the one shot had by Huddersfield so far in the first 65 minutes, I'd like to think we should manage to see this one out. Darmian's having a good game, so we'll keep him on and just swap him over to the left side. And we'll bring Dalot on for Luke Shaw. Pereira's not having a great game despite the almost assist. So we'll bring Fred on for him. Might be his debut actually. See if he can make something happen. After our recent disappointment against Real Madrid and Bournemouth, I'd quite like to get a few more against Huddersfield just to make ourselves feel better. But I will take any victory that I can get at this point. With a corner, Sanchez swings it in, Casemiro just wide. We don't seem to be very good with headers. Pogba swings it in just over the bar. Sanchez has picked up a little bit of a knock, so we'll take him off and put on Gomez for the last 5 or 10 minutes or so. Still only one shot from Huddersfield, which is very encouraging for the defensive aspect of this formation and tactic, if nothing else. Although 15 shots on target and only 2 goals is a little bit disappointing. But that won't matter. We've got 2 goals here. So we take the 3 points against Huddersfield, who are bottom of the league. But a win is a win. A much better result than the Real Madrid one. So we will take that. Now finally, we have Chelsea again at Stamford Bridge. Hopefully, I believe we drew last time. Hopefully we'll try and get a bit of a better result. And yeah, we will be back for that one. Now then, on to the Chelsea game. Before we get into it, I've just had the email through that we're leaving the EU at the end of the season, which is always fun to see how that plays out in the game. It'll probably mean that we can't have as many foreign players. Now, I meant to do a slightly different lineup, but I accidentally started the game, so we will go with the same one that played against Huddersfield and won 2-0. They appear to be playing a fairly strong team. Yeah, they've got Jorginho, Barkley and Drinkwater in midfield, Pedro Hazard and Higuain up front, so they are fielding what looks to be a close to full strength, if not completely full strength team. They have a highlight 10 minutes in with Jorginho, pressing reasonably well. They're taking their time, playing passes between their 2 centre-backs. They briefly looked to progress forward before going straight back to their defender again. Rashford steals it on the edge of the box and plays it back to Sanchez, who goes for a long-range effort, which is palmed away by Kepa. The highlight continues for the corner. Whether it will be an actual highlight remains to be seen, but for now we continue, and it dies immediately. Been a reasonably even game. We've had a lot of the possession again, but that is what we'd expect with this tactic. Fairly even on the shots front. Pogba swings in a free kick, saved by Kepa, and the rebound from Manolas. Will it be reviewed? No, doesn't look like it. We get away with it again. Pogba with a good free kick, headed by Manolas, and then only as far as Manolas again, who gets the tap in. So 1-0 at 30 minutes rather, and we have another highlight from a goal kick with De Gea. Shaw drives into the middle of the pitch and lays it off to Pereira. Casemiro goes route 1, which is only as far as Christensen. He goes back to Kepa, who we press. Bounces off Rashford and Kepa's heads, and Rashford can't capitalise, unfortunately. Having a lot of keeper errors in this episode so far, but I will take them as long as it's their keeper. Pereira wins a corner off the Chelsea player there. The highlight continues for now as he swings it in only as far as Zappacosta. Sanchez collects in the middle of their half and he's fouled by Pedro. Probably be the end of the highlight there. Yeah, and it is. Approaching the end of the first half and we remain 1 up. A fairly poor free kick from Pereira again. It's the last 5 minutes of the half. Highlight just before half time for Chelsea. Shaw clears it. Jorginho recovers it. Drinkwater on the edge of the box, just wide. For all the shots like that we've had, it would have been a little bit frustrating if they'd scored that one, I'll be honest. And that brings us to half time. Once again, I'm going to tell them we're unhappy and get the second half underway straight away. The opening highlight produces nothing, But we have another one 4 minutes later as Zappacosta goes in fairly strongly and gets a second yellow. So Chelsea down to 10 men. See what that's done to their formation. They've gone for a very narrow diamond with probably leaving Higuain up front. Yep. And we score. As I click away, we score with Luke Shaw. I'll be honest, I didn't see what happened, to be honest. Let's watch the replay. Darmian throws it to Rashford, who crosses in, cleared by Cahill. Shaw picks it up, drives into the box, and puts a brilliant finish past Kepa to put us 2-0 up. This game going decidedly better than when we played them in the league, so it looks like we should be progressing into the next round. But there's still 35 or so minutes left of this game. And we have another highlight. Manolas going back to De Gea. And he goes out wide to Luke Shaw. Dwells on it for a couple of seconds, then passes it out to Sanchez. Gets it back from him. Lingard on the right wing. Plays it into Pogba in the middle. Out to Sanchez, who slots in Pereira with a great finish. 3-0 up. If only the Real Madrid game could have gone this well. But we are doing a fairly good job over Chelsea. The tactic working out pretty well. A decent contrast to the league game. We have another highlight on the 64th minute. See if we can make it 4-0 as they play it about between their centre-backs again. We don't steal it this time just yet. Zappacosta with it now. Out to Pedro. Seem to have a lot of players on yellow cards. So maybe we can take them down to 8 men. Good save from De Gea as Pedro appears at the back post. They've been getting a lot more shots than Real Madrid and Huddersfield had, which is interesting to note. Into the last 10 minutes now, and it's looking pretty wrapped up. Got a, just before the end, just wide. Into injury time at the end of the game then. The finishing highlight, a long-range free kick from Willian. De Gea takes fairly comfortably, rolls out to Lindelof, and the ref ends the game. So, 3-0 win over Chelsea. Not a bad episode overall. The Real Madrid loss is unfortunate, as that does put us in a slightly uncomfortable position in what was already a tough group. But having started the episode in 6th in the Premier League, we have now climbed just a little bit up to 5th, and we've closed the gap a little bit on the teams above us. Bournemouth doing very well, just 3 points behind Man City, up in 2nd. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you possibly for the Inter game. We might do Inter and Bournemouth, or we might leave it a little bit longer and go for sort of Burnley and Lyon. Whichever it is, I will see you then. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.